Now, see, for some people, they go through something and they're able to compartmentalize. And for them, they move on with life. But for Shemeka, life kept going, sure, but she didn't. Shemeka walked out of that courthouse. This much is true. No cuffs, no charges, no consequences on paper. But don't get it twisted. Just because she walked out free does not mean that she wasn't carrying anything with her. She got in that car, hands on the steering wheel, and for a second, she just sat there because the silence, ooh, it was loud. Before she actually got on that stand, she had it all mapped out in her head, how it was going to go once her part was done. She had visualized it 1,000 times in her mind. She had plans, big ones. She was going to leave, hit the road, on to bigger and better things, leave this city and all the bullshit that went with it in the rearview mirror, starting over somewhere new, reinventing herself. New city, new life, new people that didn't know her name or her past. But somewhere between turning that ignition and pulling out of the parking lot, something shifted. You see, running only works when you aren't running from yourself. She pulled out of the lot and suddenly she didn't know what to do. Now that it was time to do the damn thing, and now Shemeka only had concepts of a plan and a guilty conscience riding shotgun. So she got on the interstate heading north. Shemeka thought that distance would quiet it. But you see, guilt don't need directions. It rides with you. Shemeka bounced around for a bit, a hotel here, a motel there, but nothing felt right. The guy she thought might be the one, he decided that he wasn't ready for commitment, so she quickly bounced from there. Her savings were starting to dwindle fast. Where was that new life? Where were her new friends? Things weren't shaping up the way that she had imagined. But she did make a new friend. Kind of. His name was Jack Daniels, and he was becoming her bestie. So much so that the clerk at the liquor store grabbed a bottle every time she walked in, which was on the regular. She and Jack would go back to her cheap hotel room and spend the night getting to know each other. He helped to quiet the invasive thoughts. One day, Shemeka found herself at the library. She needed to use the computer. And after applying for a couple of jobs, she found herself staring at the keyboard, lost in thought. Before she could stop herself, her fingers were typing the words Marcus Reed. She opened the first article, and it was about his sentencing. Her eyes flew across the screen, devouring the words. Marcus Reed, convicted of first-degree murder. Sentence, life without parole. There was a photo from the courtroom after the sentence was pronounced. It showed Marcus breaking down and sobbing. The caption read, "Convicted murderer breaks down, proclaiming his innocence." Every word she read was like a gut punch. You did this. You sent that man to prison. You ruined his life. It's all your fault. No, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. The case was circumstantial, and everybody knows that eyewitness testimony is horribly unreliable. Shemeka opened more articles. They all said the same thing. Shemeka then looked up the Bureau of Prisons and found that Marcus was sent to the state prison in Allendale, which was a small town in the middle of nowhere. Shemeka pulled up his picture. When it popped up, it filled the screen. His eyes looked like they were looking directly through her. Shemeka jumped up so fast the chair fell over, and the librarian looked over at her in concern. Shemeka felt like she had been burned. The tears just wouldn't stop. She ran from the library and she drove blindly back to the hotel where she was staying. She went into her room still crying. She needed a friend right now in the worst way, someone who would understand and not judge her. She reached for Jack. She didn't bother with a cup this time. She took it straight to the head, and she just sat on the floor drinking and crying. You did this. Life. You sent that man to prison. He was ruined his life. You're a monster. It should be you in that cell. You did this. You did this. You sent that man to prison. You ain't shit. You're a monster. Shemeka drank the whole bottle, trying to drown out the voices in her head. She drank until she passed out on the floor of the Dewdrop Inn motel. Her dreams tormented her. Marcus chasing her. Marcus pleading for her to make it right. Marcus pleading for his son. When Shemeka woke up the next morning, her head was pounding. She stumbled into the bathroom and threw up. When she was done praying to the porcelain gods, she sat on the cool tile floor trying to catch her breath. All she could think about was Marcus Reed. This was not part of the plan. But as she sat there, a new plan began to crystallize in her mind. Shemeka was moving, and this time she was headed to Allendale. Yeah. She moved to the same town as the prison. Not because she necessarily wanted to, but because she felt like she had to. And now, her new normal was every day waking up knowing exactly where he was, imagining what he was dealing with, wondering what he was going through as he sat in his cell and how he was dealing with the stress of it all. And beside her through it all, her trusty companion Jack, telling her that everything was going to be all right. Marcus Reed still tormented her dreams, visions of him pleading with her to save him. Shemeka, all alone, began to think that she needed to see Marcus. She needed to talk to him. She felt in her soul that it would really do both of them some good if they could just talk to each other without all the other stuff. The closer she got to the bottom of the bottle, the more this sounded like a great idea. And for the first time in a long time, she fell asleep with a smile on her face. Shemeka woke up the next morning full of purpose. Today was the day she was going to visit Marcus. She dressed carefully. She wanted to look her best for him. She curled her hair, and the beat she put on her face would have made the girl swoon. She stood looking at herself in the mirror, almost beaming. She was nervous and excited at the same time. It was the first time in a long time that she had felt anything other than dread and guilt. With a smile, she grabbed her keys and jumped in her car, headed for the state prison. Now, it was a fairly painless process getting checked in. Shemeka only needed to provide her ID, sign in, and walk through a metal detector. But her stomach was in knots. She just couldn't stop fidgeting. The guard handed her back her license. "Booth 7, he said. Shemeka walked into that visitation room and took a seat at booth 7 and waited for Marcus to appear. "Marcus Reed, visitation." Marcus looked up from his book. Visitation? Nobody came to see him. Maybe it was his lawyer. Puzzled, Marcus closed his book and got up. He and another group of inmates followed the CO out of the unit to the visitation room. "Booth 7, that's you, Reed." Marcus walked to the booth, fully expecting to see his lawyer. Nothing could have prepared him for who was actually sitting there. Shemeka looked up and saw Marcus approach the glass. A big, nervous smile spread across her face. She lifted the telephone, eager to talk to the man who tormented her dreams. Marcus stood there incredulous. Of all the people in the world to show up here, this bitch? Marcus lifted the phone. Shemeka said a nervous, "Hello, Marcus." Those were the only words she got out before Marcus lit her ass all the way up. You got some nerve, bitch. How dare you come up in here knowing you the bitch that put me in here? Marcus' eyes squinted. Rage practically oozed from his pores. His nose was flared. When he opened his mouth, he gave Shemeka the business. Fuck you and whatever the hell you came here to say. I hope you burn in hell for what you did to me. You better hope I never get out of here, bitch, because if I do, I promise you, I will earn the next murder they hang on me. Now take your lying ass the fuck out of here and keep my name out your goddamn mouth. Don't you ever come back in here, you fucking cunt. Marcus was practically foaming at the mouth. I hate you. Marcus stood up and spit on the window at Shemeka. Then he threw the phone down and walked away. Shemeka was stunned. She just sat there, holding the phone, tears pouring down her face. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. He was supposed to be grateful she was there. He was supposed to be relieved that she was going to have his back. Somehow, Shemeka found her way back to her car. She needed a drink in the worst way. She cried all the way back to the motel, and when she made it inside, she grabbed her ever-present bottle of Jack and went to work. She cried. She drank. You fucking cunt. I hate you. I hope you rot in hell. His fucking lying bitch. I hate you. The next visitation day, Shemeka went back to the prison, determined to see Marcus. The CO told her that he had refused to come to the room. Shemeka left and ran into Jack's waiting embrace. The next visitation day, there she was, back again, trying to see Marcus. Once again, she was told he declined. Shemeka did this 4 more times. Each time she got madder and madder that Marcus would not see her. She would sit in her car in the prison parking lot, drinking and cussing. Motherfucker, ungrateful son of a bitch. How dare he? He got some nerve. Who does he think he is? Oh, he thinks he better than me. Serve his ass right that he in this hellhole. The more he refused, the more she drank. The more she drank, the more agitated she got. Her ego flipped it, told her this was all his fault. He was the reason that she was in this predicament. He don't get to ignore me, not after everything we've been through. Shemeka felt like she was circling the drain. She stayed holed up in her motel room for a week straight. Sleep, gone. Peace, gone. Sanity, hanging on by the thinnest of threads. And one night, it got too heavy. Now what happened next? Oh, it wasn't pretty. Shemeka had made up in her mind she was done. Done carrying this weight. Done trying to make it right. Done being here at all. She had had enough, and she was going to end it all. But first, she wanted to go to church, say one last prayer before she did as Marcus had requested and sent her soul to hell. Drunk and stumbling, she tried to find her keys, but couldn't in the mess that was her room. Fuck it, I'll just walk. She knew that there was a church down the road from the motel. She stumbled down the deserted road. When she made it to the church, she walked in and sat down. No one was there. It was quiet. Peaceful, even though Shemeka felt no peace. She began to cry silently, and those quiet tears turned into moans. The pastor of the church, he watched from the doorway, absorbing the emotion of it all. He walked over and sat beside Shemeka and laid a comforting hand on her shoulder. Let it out, sister. Let go and let God. Shemeka cried until there were no more tears. Then she simply said, I'm tired. I just want it all to end. The pastor said, "If you want it to end, you've come to the right place." Shemeka looked up at him, her tear-stained face showing nothing but confusion. "I don't want to be here anymore. Can this place help me with that?" "Yes, dear sister. This is the place for new beginnings and fresh starts. Our Father can wipe the slate clean if you allow him to come into your heart." The pastor didn't know her story, didn't know what she had done, but he knew pain when he saw it. He sat with her, talked to her. He didn't judge her. He didn't push her. He just stayed. In that moment, it saved Shemeka's life. But let's be clear, it didn't fix it, because while her physical body might have been all right, her mind was not. From that point on, Shemeka threw herself into the church, and I do mean threw herself in. She was volunteering, serving, helping everybody, always there. If the church doors were open, Shemeka was inside. People started looking at her like, "Ooh, she's so strong. She got such a powerful testimony. God done changed her." But Shemeka knew the truth. She wasn't healed. She was hiding. Because all that serving, all that praying, all that showing up, that wasn't peace. That was part of the new plan. Shemeka wasn't serving God. She was trying to get the pastor to get her a job. She leaned into the pastor, so helpful, so vulnerable, so I just want to give back. Shemeka was working the angle, planting the seeds. "Pastor, I just want to work. I need structure in my life. I want to help others that can't help themselves, like how you did me." See, Shemeka was doing all this because in all her time around the church, she had found out that pastor had an in at the prison and could get anybody a job over there. And a job at the prison was exactly what Shemeka wanted. Pastor, he was a man of the cloth. He was unaware of her ulterior motives. He meant well, and he fell for Shemeka's act and helped her get a job at the prison. Shemeka wasn't trying to be better. Oh, no. She wanted access. Access to Marcus. Ooh, my Lord, what happens next, honey? I don't know. But if you want to know what happens next, then you already know what to do, New Nation. Head on over to melaninmayhempodcast.supercast.com and unlock the full episode because, baby, this is where the story really starts. And that's all I have to say about that. So I'm going to let you go, but I promise you I will see you on the subscription side of things to see what happens when Shemeka reaches the end of her rope. Ooh, it's going to be so good. Until we talk again, One Nation, smooches.
Woo-wee, Nana, you did that.